probably seen his buildings, even if you didn't know his name. Glass towers that touch the clouds, museums that seem to float on air, airports that feel calm instead of chaotic. They all share something subtle, a sense of balance, lightness, and humanity. That's Renzo Piano, one of the most influential architects of our time, and one of the few who sees architecture not just as construction, but as a form of poetry. Today, we will dive into the philosophy behind his designs, how he thinks, what drives him, and how he manages to turn steel and glass into something emotional. Renzo Piano was born in Genoa, Italy in 1937, into a family of builders. He grew up around construction sites, surrounded by wood, stone, and the smell of fresh cement. That background shaped him. He never saw architecture as something distant or purely academic. For him, it was always hands-on. He once said, "You learn to design by building." That simple idea that architecture is a craft became a foundation for everything he did. After studying in Milan, Piano began experimenting with new materials and technologies in the 1960s. His big break came in 1971, when he and British architect Richard Rogers won the competition to design the Centre Pompidou in Paris. At the time, it looked like something from another planet. A building turned inside out with pipes, escalators, and structure all visible. People either loved it or hated it. Actually, I hate it. But it made one thing clear. Piano was not afraid to challenge tradition. So, what's behind Renzo Piano's philosophy? If you had to sum it up in one word, it would be light. Light is everything for him. Not just illumination, but emotion. He treats light as a building material. He once said, "Light is the most noble material there is. It's like water for a fish. We live in it." That's why so many of his buildings feel airy, calm, and open. He designs them to breathe. Take Menil Collection Museum in Houston. Its roof filters Texas sunlight through delicate louvers, creating a soft, even glow. No harsh shadows, no glare, just peace. But Piano's philosophy isn't only about aesthetics. He sees architecture as a social art, something that should serve people and cities. He said architecture is a gesture of peace. That's powerful. And it shows how deeply he believes in the responsibility of architects. He builds places for connection, museums that welcome the public, airports that reduce stress, offices that feel humane. In a world obsessed with icons and star architecture, Piano quietly reminds us that buildings are for people first. When it comes to design, Piano works more like a craftsman than a celebrity. His studio, the Renzo Piano Building Workshop, is exactly that, a workshop. There's no hierarchy, no fancy executive corner office. Just teams of architecture, engineers, and model makers experimenting, testing, and sketching together. He believes in thinking with your hands. You'll often find him carving small models out of wood, cardboard, or foam, not just for show, but as a real way to explore ideas. His process moves from concept to construction like a dialogue, in conversation between art and technology. He's deeply technical, but poetic. He once joked, "You can't be an architect if you're not both an engineer and a poet." That's the balance he's famous for, the marriage of beauty and precision. Every screw, beam, and piece of glass is part of the story. Let's look at a few examples that show his philosophy in action. The Shard in London, that tall, shimmering tower piercing the skyline, isn't just a skyscraper. Piano designed it like a shard of glass emerging from the city, open to light and sky. He wanted it to disappear into the clouds. It's elegant, not arrogant. Then there's the California Academy of Science in San Francisco, a building with a living, breathing roof covered in plants, letting light pour into its interior. It's one of the greenest museums in the world, a perfect example of how piano blends technology and nature. And in New Caledonia, Gibao Cultural Center celebrates local Kanak culture through architecture inspired by traditional huts. The structure is modern, made of wood, steel, and glass, but it feels rooted in the land. That's what piano does best. He creates buildings that feel both global and local. Beyond all the glass and steel, Renzo Piano's work has a quiet humanity. He's not designing monuments to himself. He's designing places that make people feel good, that encourage curiosity and calm. He once said, "Architecture is about making people better. It's about beauty that can heal." And in a time when cities are growing louder and faster, his work reminds us of something simple, that buildings can still be gentle. Renzo Piano's philosophy is a blend of poetry, craft, and conscience. He builds with light, listens to context, and always keeps people at the center. In a world full of noise, his architecture whispers, and that's what makes it timeless. If you enjoyed this look into Renzo Piano's world, give the video a like, subscribe for more stories about design and architecture, and let me know in the comments which of his buildings speaks to you the most.